birthday. This is your hostess with the mostest, Donna Smith, aka Lady D. I'm a little behind myself this afternoon, but that's okay. I popped up and I showed up, and I ain't gonna show out, but I did show up. And I'm just here, just checking in, seeing how everyone's doing. And I wanted to give a shout out. Today is my youngest son's birthday, and man, he's a grown man. And I just want to say happy birthday, son. I love you, Jamal. Your mommy says happy birthday to you in front of everybody. Boy, I tell you, no more babies, no more babies. So what's going on, everybody? I am digging this weather we've been having. Only thing I'm doing is admiring it from the window. Um, at this point, but it's been really, really beautiful. I am taking it one day at a time. I'm trying to get these liquids in. Been doing good with that, and been on that medication like crazy. The thing about it is the medication, like I mentioned before, excuse me, that they have me on. It relaxes my diaphragm, so things go down easier, and I'm not feeling like I'm you know, got a massive heartburn attack and chest and arm and shoulder and head pain. That's a trip. That was really feeling crazy when I first tried to even eat something soft. It just wasn't happening. So I am still on that, and I try to space it out during the day so that I can focus on at least reading or something, because it definitely makes me sleepy. So I try to space it out and take it around the time that I actually eat. And also, you guys, pressed juicery. Every now and again, I get their shots. This one here is a real good wellness ginger, lemon, and cayenne, however you spell that pepper, all mixed up to one. And the thing about it is, it's really good with cleansing and making everything feel good and warm. But this stuff burns going down a little bit. So I just take little bitty sips. And I ain't playing when I do this. It's like, woo. Okay, enough of all that. So anyway, I've been trying to get it in. I can't wait till I'm able to get back with some working out. I have had to kind of chill on that. When you got a hernia repair healing, they don't want you to do no heavy lifting, no heavy jumping, no bouncing around, no doing too much. So, um, hopefully, in another month, something like that, I'll be feeling a lot better where I can at least start to focus on that. My understanding, to be completely healed, it takes 8 to 12 weeks, something like that. Um, but you can, start incorporating things slowly based on your ability of your healing and everything. So anyway, yeah, I wanted to just kind of just bounce some just anything off. I didn't have anything specific that I wanted to talk about today, but I'm always in the arena of love, relationships, and things like that. And I just wanted to kind of throw out there lightweight about how we have got to get it together. We got to get it together with loving each other, loving one another, respecting one another, appreciating one another. Um, it makes you feel so wonderful and so good when you know that you're being appreciated, when you're being loved, when you're being respected by someone that you're digging and that's digging you. And I can't tell you enough where I get these calls sometime, and uh, emails and texts and things of people who are caught up in things that is just so unnerving. And they're really good people, really, really good people. However, they've allowed themselves to get caught up in some dysfunctional uh, bob wire or whatever webs you want to call it. And they're having a hard time getting out of it. And I'm not saying hard as far as they're being held captive or anything like that, but hard because some people find it very challenging and very, I don't know, scary to just take that leap and leave something that is so, um, I don't know, something they've been in for quite a while, you know. And sometimes we can be in things for quite a while that is definitely not good for us. We just kind of stew in it because it's the thing to do in that moment for whatever reason. You know, some will say, well, you know, the kids are little, they're still in school, I need assistance, I need help, and so therefore I need to stay with this jerk off, you know, and they sell themselves short. And I'm not saying, because I believe in families staying together, I believe in making things work when you have, you know, children or love, or, you know, have taken vows of marriage and matrimony with someone. But, you know, sometimes I think that it's taken for granted that we have these children now, so you are with me for life. Or, you know, we've been together 15 plus years, so you ain't going nowhere because don't nobody want you, don't nobody want me, and I'm just going to be right here, you and me. And I mean, people really take that for granted. I've seen situations where couples have stayed together during the duration of time till the kids got grown. They waited till the kids got grown and then they left. They both bounced. They both had lives that was churning and cooking and stirring up while they was with this person that they were miserable with, but they made a vow to stay together to make it work while the kids were young. And man, that's a couple of decades of your life. And nowadays, man, I don't, it's probably could be longer because kids are in a position where they have to stay home longer based on, you know, what's happening in the economy, how expensive things are, how hard it is for a mature established adult to make it by themselves, let alone a youngster that's 20 years old, um, or even 18, 19, or right out of college, 23, 22. And now what? And you have to literally get three or four roommates before you could even be okay living out on your own. Because have you guys looked at the rents lately? It's utterly ridiculous. Little bitty matchbox apartments that they're charging $3,000 a month for if you got three bedrooms, two bedroom, literally $1,000 a bedroom. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The more bedrooms, the more you're gonna pay, and it's really really hard, you know. So we have these grown children who are staying at home longer because they can't really afford to make it out there. So sometimes people stay in situations because, you know, they see it a win-win during that segment of time. If you're waiting for the kids to get grown or whatever, you know, and I just like to talk about that for a moment. I mean, like I said, I am not against one wanting to stay in something because you love each other, you have children, you want to, you want to try to make this thing work, blah, blah, blah. But just to know that it's totally gone, it's over, you both are not into each other anymore, you've outgrown each other, you don't want to be with each other, you don't really like each other, and you just stay together just to keep the unit together, which is extremely dysfunctional, for real. Because you have the children who are witnessing a total disconnect. So they are learning and they are adapting to this dysfunctional way of living, and they take that into their own adulthood, families, and lives moving forward because that's what they know. So you're really not doing them any great purpose for staying together under the same roof just until they become adults. Now, what you could do is still co-parent. You don't have to live together. You don't have to be under the same roof to both share in the responsibilities of rearing your children, spending quality time, and emotionally keeping the connection and letting them know that both parents terribly love you, so we just can't live together and be together as couples do anymore, and keep it 100. um because I feel being 100% that way and still being a part of them is still showing them togetherness, love, and honesty and truth in real life. Because, we can sit up here and I've seen it happen where some will date for a host of years. They'll date for 15 years and then all of a sudden say, well, it's time for us to get married. Look, I'm getting old, you ain't getting no younger, let's get married. And they end up getting married and they stay married for 2 years and boom, it's all over. I don't understand that. I believe that, it's the reality of this is it forever with you, and all of a sudden I don't like you like that no more because I'm getting anxiety thinking about the forever. And for whatever reason, they were fine with the fact that you can just date, kick it, you know, everybody be happy, and that's it, and that's all. Something changes. And I think that's why some find it more comforting in um, just keeping themselves unattached from the matrimony thing. The right thing to do is if you love somebody, you care about them, and you both walking in the same, path, you both want the same things, you both are connected, and especially if you call yourself clapping, because you need it's better to marry than to burn, that's for sure. So you need to go on and do that. If you clapping and it's wonderful, and you clapping and you gonna keep clapping, you might as well just go on, and you love this person, you might as well do what you do. But some run from that. They run from that solid reality of we are now together forever. It's not going to be easy for me to escape if I wanted to. Whether, when you're dating someone, even if you're living with them, if things don't work out, you end up throwing in the towel. I'm gone. Hey, bye. Save up some money for a minute, get your own little crib, move on. And that's another thing. Be very careful when some come together and you both have your own place and you decide that, okay, because of the economy and because I'm at your house a lot, you at my house a lot, we need to just come together and live together. Be very careful before just jumping in and doing that, because first of all, one or another, one of you are going to have to give up your space. And living together, I don't care how you want to slice it, dice it, chop it, saute it, fry it, whatever you want to do. It's just like being married. The only thing is, you just don't have that piece of paper. It's just like being married, y'all. You sharing bills together, you're cooking for them, you're cleaning, you're washing clothes, you clapping on a regular, sometime every night. Mm-hmm. Sometime every night or every other night. But you're doing these married type of things. You're going to each other's family functions, sometimes family reunions. Um, you're opening up bank accounts together. You're opening up sometimes credit cards together. You're sometimes buying cars together. And sometimes you're invested in property and business together. And people look at it as, well, the more assets we have together, the more we are invested in one another, the harder it's going to be for us to just throw in the towel or whatever. Trust me, it can still be done. You can still throw in the towel. People throw in the towel that have been married 30 years, let alone somebody that's just dating and decide to get a few things together. You can still throw in the towel. And that's not to mention all the credit that you're going to have, because one person is going to decide, well, I ain't paying it no more. I don't care. I'm just going to go file bankruptcy. See ya. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go file bankruptcy. And you going to do what you going to do. Either you going to get your credit all messed up too, or you're going to be stuck with paying it. So make sure before you throw in the towel and do something on the level of living with someone, even though it may be a good thing as far as saving, as far as the economy is concerned, you can get a 2-bedroom instead of a studio, or you can get a 1-bedroom instead of a room. Um, you can get more with another income in another person, and that's another story. That's if you got two incomes. Sometimes you got two situations, but one income, and then that becomes a whole nother situation. But if you got two incomes and you're coming together and you're living together like that, then you're pretty much living as a married couple, for real. So why not get married? Why shack? You know, some may argue the fact, well, shacking is good. I think we need to live together first because I need to know how they get down. I need to know how they do this, how they fold their clothes, how they budget, how they shop, how they do they snore, do they leave the lights on, do they turn the lights off, do they leave clothes all over the place, do they throw their trash in the garbage, do I have to pick up after them like they're a little kid, do I have to go and get their money from them because they gonna spend it all up before we can take care of the home. I mean, some people want to actually live together just to see how things are gonna jive on that level before they say I do. So, um, you may look at it as, well, I've asked them to marry me. They've said yes. We're planning a marriage probably in another year to year and a half, because we want to get some things together. We want to get some things in order, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to move together because we're already going on that direction. So we're going to move together. We're going to start building together when we want. A large percentage of the time, folks don't even make it to that wedding day once they move together. I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it happens a lot of the time because you end up seeing and realizing some things that you didn't before the live in. Things is totally different when you have your own place and they have theirs. You may go over and see that they're not as organized as you. They may not keep things a certain way that you do, or they may be a little bit more neater than you. You the junky one. They not. I mean, you may see these things, but it's one thing to visit because people can put on facades when you're visiting. They can clean up real quick and throw stuff under the bed and all kinds of stuff, and you ain't gonna see it. But when you're actually living in the motion of the situation and seeing them going through day to day emotions and real life situations, it's like, oh my God, I don't like them when they stressed. I don't like them when they ain't got no money. I don't like them when they ain't had nothing to smoke or drink or whatever the situation. And these are things you find out with living together. So, what do you guys think about that? Now that we kind of on that, because that's a real life serious situation. It can go either way. You know, me myself, I'm kind of in the middle with it. Mm, one part is saying, well, living together for a minute, 6 months maybe, we'll show you some things. But then again, you already all in it, playing wifey or playing husband. Just go on and do the doggone thing. Just make it right. You're going to live together, make it right. Or you keep your place, I keep my place. We visit and kick it the way we've been doing. I can wear the ring if I went on and accepted the engagement. And we just do it like this until it's time for us to come together. What you guys think about that? Hmm. I mean, I think, unless you just been one that just right out of high school, you married your high school sweetheart, and that's who you've been with for 30, 40 years. Some have that story and testimony to tell us. Not a whole lot of us do, but some of us do. But if you haven't been on that side of the coin, then you have probably been in both scenarios. You've been living with someone and you've been not living with someone. You've been living with someone and decide to marry them, get married. It didn't work for a host of reasons. Sometimes it do work. So, what do you think? I'd like to know, you guys. Leave a comment. Let me know. What do you think about the shacking, the shacking thing before saying I do? You know, and if you do, you know, it's funny because some will say, well, I'm not going to do everything I would do as a wife because I'm not a wife yet. We just living under the same roof. We're roommating until we make this official and blah, 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 blah. And then you have the other person saying, well, I need to know if this person is wife material. Are they loyal? Do they clean? Do they cook? Do they? I mean, both of y'all should be cleaning and cooking. It's a unite. You helpmates. You both should be doing this thing, especially if you both are working. If you're both working jobs. Now, if one person is at home all day and they want to do the the honor of making sure that the house is smelling of spam and ham when you walk in the door, that's delightful. But when you both are working and depending on your schedules and all that, sometimes you got to kind of, and it can be very sexy and wonderful for a couple to share in the responsibilities of the kitchen, cooking a meal together. I'm not saying every time, but it could be really sexy. It could be sexy for a man sometime to cook for a woman instead of her, him just, adamantly she has got to cook all the time. I don't cook. I don't wash dishes. I don't fold clothes. I don't wash clothes. I don't pick up after myself. I don't do none of that. I ain't vacuuming. Vacuuming what? That's her job. I'll take the garbage out. Some people are on that separate plane type of situation. And those are the units, the unions that usually end up having a whole lot of issues. A whole lot of issues. Or you have a mate that's accommodating to your demands of what you're not going to do, and only what you're going to do. And then resentment starts to well up. And then you wonder, with this argument you had, why all of a sudden they pissed off and bringing up stuff about what I don't do. Well, I didn't say nothing about I wasn't doing it when I didn't do it. And that's another topic for another day. Letting things fester, root, and it grows into this big old oak tree. And now all of a sudden you want to just, like little Chucky, you want to get your knife and start hacking at a person with everything that you've been dealing with for the past 2 years. Mm-mm. You can't do that. So when I tell y'all, ooh, I'm drinking that because it's good for you, but ooh, Lordy, that stuff's strong. Um, the shacking thing, I think that is definitely an individual's need. Is what works for you. I know in this day and age, it's really, really, really difficult to row that boat by yourself unless your status is so high as far as being wealthy, your career, things of that nature where you really could row the boat by yourself. But a lot of people are struggling to do that. But just be mindful that you don't want to just jump into shacking with someone just because it seems like it's the thing that we should do, and then you give up your place and you get in there with them, and in a month or two you're like, I made a mistake. But now you don't have a place and you don't have nowhere to go. And so you kind of are stuck. You gotta stay in that situation. You gotta save up some money. You gotta be nowadays, to move into an apartment, you need just as much as you can put down 3% and moving into a house a lot of time. Getting your own house. Because if rent is 3,000 a month, they're asking for first and deposit because they can't do first last anymore in deposit. So they do first and then they do deposit to match what the first is. You're talking about $6,000. $6,000 to move into an apartment that may be 2 bedrooms. You may, depending on the area you move in, if you're moving into a really nice, top notch area, it may only be 1 bedroom and you're paying for the area. So, just be mindful before jumping into that. I've seen it happen so many times where, you know, men have done it. I've seen women who have done it. Usually it's the person who doesn't the person who do not have a problem giving up what they have because perhaps their place is a lot smaller, perhaps their neighborhood is not as great as the other person or whatever, so they decide, well, it makes more sense to give up my place than when we come over here to you, and boom, boom, boom. You guys, what is this? I done got something on my shirt. Oh my goodness. Don't pay no. As a matter of fact, I think that's the design. Don't pay no attention. Don't pay no attention. So, um, anyway, so they end up doing that, and it wasn't the right time for that. That wasn't the way they were supposed to address that situation. Because, mind you, if a person has determined that they want to spend their life with you and they're putting a ring on your finger, then it's time to do it. I Another topic, but some people are engaged for way too long. They want to sit up and they want to come together with planning these elaborate $30,000 or more weddings that could have very well been a down payment on your business or a home. Okay? That way, if the marriage don't work, you both have a house, right? So you'll be able to split that sucker down the middle, and both of y'all will be able to be a win-win situation because you got property. But if the marriage don't work and you done got all this debt and you done paid $30,000 on this wedding, it's gone. And I'm not saying go into it with a negative attitude or in a way that you are already setting it up for failure. No, I'm not doing that. I'm just saying be realistic about your planning because, we all want to be the prettiest bride and have on our pretty dress and do this and that. I think every woman has kind of dreamt of that beautiful fairy tale wedding. But the reality of it nowadays, with as you become more mature and you're looking more into assets and owning stuff and having things to pass on to your kids and this and that, I'd rather invest money into things of substance, assets that would grow in value instead of us giving up all this money to have this one day event. And this one lady I know, I think her wedding dress was like $15,000. $15,000 on a wedding gown that she was only gonna wear once. It wasn't a beading, because I seen some very pretty wedding gowns that was beaded gowns that you can wear to formal events, take the veil off, and it could be a very nice cocktail dress, something like that. You may wear it again. But an actual wedding dress, $15,000 that you're only gonna wear one time, mm-mm, uh-uh, and no, mm-mm. But everybody got their own little way and reason, rhyme, reason for doing things. But when you get to more of a mature stage in life, you start thinking in terms of what's important as far as assets, ownership, value, things that's going to help us grow in a way as a couple instead of having this massive amount of debt. And then you turn around and talk about, well, we let's try to buy a house. And then you got to save up money to try to get you a house, but you got all this debt that you have to pay off first. And unless you was one that just had $50,000 floating in the air, you pulled it down and paid cash for everything, and now you don't owe nobody. I still say invest your money into something that's going to hold more weight. And it's not about, all of that. It's about you two deciding that you want to spend your life together. You love one another, even the ring. They know you're into, diamonds and this and that. They may want to invest in you a really nice lifetime ring. You want to invest in him a nice ring. That's between you guys as a couple. But there's, the ring is just a ring too. But the thing is, um, we have got to stop putting all this material value on things when it comes down to what really matters. And stop shortchanging yourself. Stop taking any kind of way just to have it some kind of way. Meaning, I'm in a situation where, you may think, I want to get married, my clock is ticking, I want to have some kids, I want to do this and that. And we talking about getting married or whatever, but that's on the agenda. But now they talking about moving with me, and that's a plus. Cause that's, man, we doing better than we was. Not really, because you don't really know what the reasons are behind them wanting to really move with you. Is it just to save money? Is it just to kind of peep some things out? Is it just to, shoot, see what it do? A trial basis, you know what I'm saying? That kind of thing. Um, do they have an agenda? I mean, maybe they having second thoughts and they trying to make this the final decision, and then they end up deciding that you're not wifey material in their books, or they don't love you in the way that they thought, and you wasted 6 months to a year playing house with someone, and lo and behold, if you gotten pregnant, because if somebody can reach over every other night, every night, and get the goods, stuff can happen, right? So you need to be sure. You need to be sure. And if a person loves you enough to want to marry you and ask you to marry them, then let's make this happen. You can always go down to the court building. You can drive down to Reno. You can fly to Vegas. You can do a quick little situation. You can plan a little family and friends reception thing after the fact. 3, 6 months after, if you still want to do that, get your little wedding cake, get your pretty little dress, and do that little thing. You could do that. But if it's something that's ready to be done, do it. I ain't saying just rush into matrimony, but if you burning like that and you talking about moving in and paying house and paying bills and getting assets and washing clothes and cooking and helping her with her kids and her bad kids and all that kind of stuff, you gotta be all in it to win it. You got to be all in it to win it. Ain't no trial basis. If you still trying to figure it out and you got some trial about something, then perhaps you need to not even ask them to marry you right now. Keep your place. They keep their place. And y'all just keep on doing what you do. Whatever they call it nowadays. Situationships, relationships. Let me get with you sometime ships. Uh, I need some ship, whatever ship. Just get on your ship and keep doing your ship. That's what I say. But this had to be the most this topic just came out, y'all. I don't know where it came from. I know that it was meant to be talked about to help somebody that's probably trying to decide upon some situations or decide about how to do something, or maybe you're in a situation and you've determined, because you gave up your place, you moved into the situation with this person, and you determined that this is not it. So what do you do? What do you do? Because this person is thinking you it, but you've determined that this may not be it. You're not feeling in sync like you did. You're not feeling the trust like you did. You're not feeling the love like you did. You care for them, but you're not feeling all this. And the reality of that comes with moving with somebody. You have got to be into that person wholeheartedly, because everyone has flaws. No one is perfect. You may find the right one for you, but they are still without, they still have flaws. They're not going to be 100% in every area, and you are not either. Okay? So you both have to accept that, balance that, appreciate that, work with that, the loyalty, commitment, honesty, realness, all that, communication, trust, all that stuff got to be well embedded and planted. You got to be in it to win it. You got to. If not, keep your place. And lo and behold, it's another thing I want to bring up. Them situations where they ain't got a place. You do, but they don't. So they really trying to move on in. That's a big red flag too, because you need to find out why you ain't got a place. What happened? And where you been staying? Because I had one person mention to me once that when the rent started escalating up, economy got to changing and rents was bad, they chose to sleep in their car. And they chose to sleep in their car because rent and everything was just too expensive everywhere. And they just had refused. They had an apartment And then something happened where they had to move out of it. I think the people was selling the building or something like that. So they had to move out of it, and then they were sleeping in their car. And they made a decision to do that until they got to a place of being able to afford something that wasn't so expensive. But of course, the rents kept going up and up and up. As far as I know, they still living in their car, and they go to certain places at work or at a school or some places like that, Starbucks, whatever, and they go in the restroom and they wash up and do what they got to do with soap and water. Sometimes they go to a friend's or a relative's house, take a good bath. Sometimes they said they even, um, because they work, and they say even on their payday, sometimes they'll go and get a room, for the weekend, but they refuse to pay a weekly rate for a motel. So they will just get something for the weekend and relax with the TV and washing it. But I mean, I was just in awe because I'm like, you're not homeless. You work, you have an income, you can get a place, but because of the rents being so high, you've chose to sleep in your car. Wow. 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 So if you meet somebody that's in a situation like that and they are in their car, or they just don't have a place for whatever reason, maybe they just got kicked out of baby mama house, or baby daddy put them out, or mama put them out, or cousin put them out. And yeah, y'all excuse me, but this is the dye in my shirt. It's just bothering me. See how it's all the way down? It's just the dye in the shirt. Um, yeah, and so they have a situation where they got this reason why they don't have nowhere to stay, and then bingo, they meet you, y'all hit it off, they come to your house, stay a couple of nights, it's comfortable, everything's cool, fluffy duffy, wonderful pillows, all this, that, and you feeling them, they feeling you, and you know that people have situations, and y'all talked about it, and they asked could they move in, and you go ahead on and do it, not knowing the whole story behind what. And sometimes you could be making a very costly mistake. Very costly mistake. Because it got to be some stories behind the story. For real. For real, for real. So, on that note, you guys, this has been great. I've touched on a few things, had to just chop it up, stop in. I, for some reason, thought today was Friday, but it is not. It's Thursday. And so, with that being said, I'm going to be back here tomorrow. I have an appointment, but around that, some kind of way, if I'm not back early afternoon, it'll be early evening, but I will be touching back bases with you guys, lovely grown folks. It's always a pleasure talking about some real life topics, and you know, if nothing else, think about some of these things. Share it. Somebody may need to know, may need to hear it. Like, share, subscribe. I want to see you hit that bell when I'm on here. I like to see you. I like to feel you. I like to see your smiling face and your wonderful comments. So you have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.